Hey guys, what is going on? In this video, I'm going to talk about how to get really good at sales. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because I had a conversation with our closer just now, and there's so many different details to the sales process that you can often get confused about. What am I really trying to do here? If we boil it down to the first principles or the essence of what we're actually trying to do on the sales call, what is it? What are we trying to do? So some people will be like, oh, we're trying to follow a process to a T. Or it could be we're trying to close as many deals as possible. Or it could be we're trying to present the product in the most perfect way. And look, all those things are correct, but they're not the essence of what you're trying to do. Now, just for context, what I'm talking about here is if you're selling a agency, consulting, or some kind of service that actually can be applicable to any service, but where this is not super applicable is to super high-end kind of B2B, like billion-dollar deals. Although even at that standpoint and at that level, it is still applicable. And the reason it's still applicable is because you're still dealing with humans in the end, right? And humans operate the same. Now, fundamental to this is the reality that emotion drives change and thinking drives delay. So yes, there is the thought process, and yes, there is the emotional process. But what you've got to understand, in the way that the human brain and the human soul weighs things up and justify things, is that the emotion is actually the driver of the sale, right? So this could be applicable to anything. So let's just say you see a really beautiful woman, right? If you're a male, okay? And you go, wow, she is amazing. And so you're driven from that emotion to go and talk to her or something. But then there's after you've talked to her, you come up with reasons why you kind of shouldn't do it, right? And that's the thinking process. So the thinking process doesn't actually at all drive forward momentum. The thinking process is actually about finding faults. Okay, so what we try and do with the thinking is we try and remove objections from the thought process, because the driver with the thinking is there's no driver with your thinking. It's only objections. The driver is the emotion. Okay, the thinking is the roadblocks that we need to remove. So the best way to think about it is people have a skepticism and belief pendulum, right? And so when the belief rises above the skepticism, to the degree that the belief is higher than the skepticism, that is the degree to which the person is going to close. Okay, so that's sort of the preconditions for the sale. Now, once we have those preconditions, you're probably asking the question like, okay, so what do you do with that? Like, how do you actually conduct a sales call or a sales conversation where we drive someone to make a change and we can remove the roadblocks from their thinking that hinders them from actually executing and pulling the trigger? So this is really good stuff. I wish I had this training when I was younger, right? So the first thing to realize is that what you're trying to do on a sales call, the purpose of a sales call, is to create a strong enough emotional state that prompts and triggers the person to ultimately take action to make a change. I'll say that again. The purpose of a sales call is to drive someone into such an emotional state of wanting to make a change that they're actually motivated to pull the trigger and take action. Okay? So just a quick example. So when people really decide to lose weight is when they look at the mirror and they get disgusted with themselves. Okay? They're disgusted. Now, what is disgust? Is that a thinking process where you think, I am disgusted? No, mofo. It is a feeling. You feel disgusted and you go, I am so sick of looking like a fat bastard. I need to make a change. Another example could be you drive this crappy car that keeps breaking down and the tires go flat, and you get out of the car and you go, I am so done. I am absolutely done with driving a shitty car. I will do whatever it takes to not have to experience this again. Is that a thinking process? No, it's emotion. People reach an emotional state where they are ready to pull the trigger and make a change. Now, your job as the salesperson is to lead someone up to that state. I'm going to have a quick drink. So you might be asking, how do you do that? So you really do this through the discovery phase of your call. Now, the discovery phase of your call is basically where you ask a series of questions that helps you understand really 4 things. You want to understand the situation, the current situation that the person is in from all the relevant standpoints. So if you sell, the opportunity to become a high ticket closer, you might say, what's your current job? Are you happy with your current job? What's your current income? Are you happy with your current income? And you get kind of like a map in your head of their current situation. So once you've done that, you go, cool, done. Second thing is you then want to go and understand their goals. So what is the goal? Like, where do you want to get to? And then you want to go, why is that goal important to you? And then, what are you prepared to do to kind of achieve that goal? And the more that you can get them to communicate and express the emotion behind their goal, the better. So you really want to try and get them to express and really describe in detail why their goals are important to them. So what that does is it creates a destination for the sales call. So people call it the North Star. It's basically just like, what is your ultimate destination that you want to get to with what we're trying to talk about here, okay? So it frames up the whole call around that. Now, the more clarity that you can have around their goal and the more emotional clarity you can have around their goal, the better. That's super important. Now, once you've got the background, you've got the goal, then you want to go into the problems and the roadblocks. What is stopping you from achieving that goal? And typically, your service that you provide is the answer to their current problem. I'll say that again. The service or solution that you provide is the answer to their current problem. Now, this is where you come up with really powerful product market fit. Because if you can come up with a solution that actually meets the very specific problem that people have, then what that's going to do is it's going to be easy for you to sell that, okay? So we ask questions like, okay, so what stopped you from getting to that goal? What are the things that have stopped you from getting to that goal? How long has that been happening for? What have you tried to resolve that in the past? What do you feel is really the issue here that stopped you there? Why didn't this work? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, until you really get them to really outline what the problem is. Now, once you've established what the problem is, then you want to go into either what we call cost of inaction, which is we really get them to commit to making a change. And the way that we get them to commit to making a change is we get them to weigh up the pros and cons of whether they stay where they are and stay stuck or they pull the trigger. Although, here's the thing, quickly, just a quick note. No one likes spending money. No one likes buying consulting programs. No one likes having to pay for a program. No one likes it. Nobody likes it, right? There's not one person in the world that likes paying for stuff. If we could have it all for free, we would have it for free, okay? So we understand that. And people will say, yeah, I just don't want to spend that. Of course you don't want to spend the money. No one wants to spend the money, right? But the point is, the way that you overcome that is you get them to look at the other side of the equation. So you can say, look, you've got this money and it's going to be painful for you to spend it. I'm not going to lie to you. It's going to be painful for you to spend it. But on the other side is it could be an additional, just think about it. It could be an additional 2 years before you actually get to your goal of 10K per month. Are you willing to settle for that? And the more that you can be direct and upfront and clear about, dude, like, yes, you can spend the money and it's going to be painful, but isn't it worth it if it will save you 2 years? Yeah, that's worth it, right? So that's how you go about that. And that's how you create what we call a cost of inaction, where you really create a framework for them to make the decision to buy, if it makes sense. So a big misconception that people have with sales is it's about tricking and manipulating and lying. It's not. It's about actually prompting them to an emotional state of wanting to make a change by laying out all the facts and giving them so a good example is look, you don't have to pay to buy a car, but the cost of you not getting a car means you're going to have to catch the bus every day, which means you're going to be wasting an hour every day. If we calculate that over a year, and there's 48 work weeks, right? With 5 days a work week, that's about 200 hours that you're going to be wasting if you didn't get a car. Okay, so that's the downside. So do you feel like if this was like a good kind of solution for what you're looking for, that you would be in a place where for you to make a change, that would make sense? So we want to get them to commit to wanting to make a change and get them into an emotional state until they're ready. Okay. So that's basically how you do it from a discovery standpoint. And you'll get guys that'll come on the call and be like, hey man, I know what you're doing. I know that you're going through a sales script. I know you're going through, and you say, yes, of course you do. Mr. Intelligent, of course you do. This is a sales call, right? The reason that I'm here is to understand your situation. And if we can help you get to your goal. If you don't want to take the time to do that, then don't jump on the call. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. This is about you. So this whole this is a sale. Of course it's a sales call. There was a funny video with Serge Guattari where he talked about that. It's like, of course, motherfucker. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. This should help you understand essentially what you're trying to do in the sales call. And hopefully it will bring a lot more conviction and certainty of the types of questions that you want to ask, how you specifically ask the question, and then how you deliver the pitch, right? So anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.